Let's do it. Static intro while I roll. Hi, Dan.
Hello.
Second time around, hopefully
Yes.
with better luck.
Yes.
So for those of you who don't know, the first time, silly me, the mics weren't working. So we did a great video.
Amateur
I think it was
hour.
great. Yeah, it was amateur hour. But this time around, I think we'll do better. So tell me about, what are you shooting with today? What do you got on you?
So my name's Dan. Dan the
Oh, sorry,
cameraman.
yeah, what's your
Didn't
name,
even let
Dan?
me introduce myself.
Please, I'll shut up now. You do your thing.
I'm Dan from Dan the cameraman. I take photos and I like making videos about taking photos. And we're out here today and I'm using my tried and trusted Canon 5D Classic with the 51.8. So I've also got a 28mm Nikon and we're just going to see what happens. It's an interesting day to say the least before the fog. So not really something I'm used to.
And what are you drinking?
This is a batch brew.
Batch brew.
So I'm an anti-milk kind of guy.
Anti-milk kind of
No,
guy.
I don't really like milk in my coffee. I used to be a big black white guy, but nowadays I drink batch brews.
Sorry, what did you say?
Flat white.
Okay.
What do you think I said?
A big fat white guy.
No.
Oh, it's been a good start already. All right.
Mate,
should we-
you're going to get me cancelled.
let's go. So, just a better context this morning. We had this plan to come out and shoot around 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And my lovely wife woke me up at 6:15 to let me know it's foggy outside. And let me give you a glimpse of that really quick.
Like over here with all the
There
fog.
it is. And so I messaged Dan and I said, "Hey, do you want to come out a little bit early? We'll go take some photos." And we've been out this morning. The Rocks,
Oh, yeah.
Sydney, with his Canon that sounds like a machine gun, and you'll probably hear that later on.
Yeah, there's no stealth when shooting with this camera. But like I always say, it's better to be seen than not seen sometimes. So
That's right.
it can work out. So I reckon today,
Where do you want to go?
well, we're in my favorite place. One of my favorite places, the Quay, as I call it.
The way.
So I reckon we head down, go to the Opera House, and then come back and see what happens from there.
Okay, let's go.
Very touristy location, but
Very.
since we're filming and I've got this tourist camera with me, we'll fit right in.
To be fair, though, it is one of the prettiest parts in Sydney, so maybe that's why it's so touristy.
Yeah, you could say that. All right.
Also, for those of you who are watching internationally, there's a festival
Bonjour.
on.
Bonjour.
Bonjour. Wow, you're so cultured.
I am. Ciao.
There is the Vivid Festival. That's where you're seeing all these setups out here for. It's for the light show. If you don't know what that is, jump on Instagram or just do a search. It's beautiful at night. I'm probably going to come out one night and do a little video on that as well.
Yeah.
All right. So last time we spoke a lot about stuff, right?
Sure did.
I think the one bit that I want to maybe pick back up with you, considering we're polar opposites on this, is that I'm quite introverted
Yep.
and you're not.
Oh.
No? You disagree?
Well, I am an introverted extrovert.
Okay.
So I am naturally introverted too.
Okay.
But I have progressed past that. But yeah, go on.
I made a video that may have upset you around, your approach. You walk.
Yeah, you call it challenging to
Challenging.
watch.
It is.
Challenging to watch.
It is. I genuinely feel
And
awkward.
I remember when I took that photo of that guy, I looked over and I saw your face and you're like, oh. So,
I find it quite challenging when I'm around a situation where it makes me feel uncomfortable. So yeah, I try to avoid anything that...
confrontation.
Yeah, for sure. So as a photographer, for me, I try to avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
I don't think I've really had a real incident yet, but I think we were talking about this a little bit last time around a couple of scenarios that you may have had run into.
Yeah, I've had a couple run-ins.
Okay.
So I guess it'd be nice to talk to how I got past that barrier of introversion.
Yeah.
Let me just throw my coffee out.
Sure.
Very mediocre coffee, FYI. So yeah, I was very, especially when I first started taking photos on the street. I was one of those typical classic telephoto, isolating people from super far away and just wouldn't get close at all.
Yep.
And over time, I think I was like that for a long time up until I started to take YouTube a little bit more seriously and push myself through that.
Okay.
And that did a couple things. It forced me to be more comfortable presenting in public,
Okay.
which helped me get over the fear of being judged, people looking at you and getting noticed. Just wait for that.
This will be stopping at Cockatoo Island, Vermoyne, Huntley's Point,
And
Abbotsford, Camarino.
it also forced me, it also opened up ideas which were ideas like picking up cameras like this or doing flash photography, which is
Right.
the two things I've been getting into over this last year. And that changes everything because you're now you're now more noticeable as a photographer on the street. So people are going to notice you a lot more. So by using these more obvious styles of shooting, I guess you could call it, it's pushed me, and slowly pushing myself further and further to get closer and more comfortable being in people's faces. It's really helped me get over that fear. And you have to have the banter as a street photographer, I feel. That sometimes it's either are you going to miss the shot because these opportunities don't always come up. It's sometimes a once in a lifetime opportunity.
Right.
Are you really going to let your fear get in the way of you capturing that moment? And I'm not perfect. There are still, especially when I shoot, I find this camera is the trickiest to shoot with, just because of how obvious it is and how loud it is. With some of my mates, but
it's taken you some time, right? It's not something you can do overnight. Yeah.
No, it was constant. And I think if you're consistent and you're out there and you're always trying to progress at least 1% each time, then eventually you'll get to a point where you feel a lot more confident getting into people's faces, and then you can start expanding on your creativity. Yeah, and I feel like people are, whilst they may not always appreciate having their photo taken, if they know it's coming or they're aware of what's going on, I feel like it puts them a little bit more at ease.
We're at the Opera House today, and
favorite locations to
Pooh
shoot.
Man likes to keep making technical mistakes.
It's part of the journey, as we were saying, which we didn't even cover. We lost all that.
It is part of the journey, and Dan's got an interesting subject he's going to approach, and I'm going to keep my distance because that's just how I roll.
I don't want to cramp on this
with
style.
situations like this. So let me show you what he's trying to get.
All right, I don't think I can do it
How'd you
anymore.
go?
I can't. It's not. I did take a shot here, similar to that, which is one of my. I think I showed you where it had the couple on the phone screen, and then it had the wider surrounds of what was actually happening.
Okay, yeah.
I'll send it to you so you can put it up on screen.
Sounds good.
But
Where are we, Dan? Let's do this one more time. We'll do an intro of the...
oh yeah, that's right.
That's the iconic...
We've got to reintroduce where we are. So we're at the very iconic Opera House today. One of my favorite spots to come and shoot and film. And the reason why I like this spot is probably because of the unique characters and people that actually come to visit. So I always like to come around in the afternoon because you've got a mixture of beautiful light and interesting characters. And as I was saying, it's always a cheap way to get unique images because you've got such a beautiful backdrop.
Absolutely.
Well, two iconic landmarks in one space.
And a bit of fog today as well, as we were talking
Which
about.
adds to that. But yeah, I do like coming here quite a lot. It's always a great, and I only just started shooting here because of YouTube for some reason. But I think someone put me onto it, and that's how I ended up coming here, and I just keep coming back. So yeah, that's where we are today. We're at the Opera House. Long-winded way of saying where we are.
So I just made another mistake. This is the second time, which was I wasn't recording for part of our conversation.
Yep.
And you made a really good point, which was making mistakes is part of the journey.
Yes, we're talking about the journey.
which I don't know if it's actually filmed early.
I don't think it is, but we can recap on that.
Let's talk about that. We're talking about as professionals, whether you're a photographer, whether you're
Heart surgeon,
heart surgeon, astronaut, whatever role, whatever profession in life that you're pursuing, is sometimes we get so fixated on that end goal, right? We're just so focused on getting from point A to point B that we forget about the journey, or we don't enjoy the journey.
100%.
Let me let you do your thing. You go
Oh,
do
you're
your
not
thing.
going to come along?
I'll come with you. All
Keep
right.
talking. I can hear you.
Where is that camera that I need to show my awkward face for people? As you guys can see, this is where all the magic happens. If you're in Sydney, or this is where all the tourists, even locals. I mean, I come here frequently as well. I love being a tourist in my own town, and it's a beautiful place. How'd you go? Did you get something?
I think so. Okay. I think so.
So yeah, we're talking about destination, your goal as where you want to be.
Yes.
As opposed to the journey. Or maybe not as opposed to
No.
the journey.
We're saying that you should be less fixated on where you want to end up and using that as a
guide.
Essentially you want to use that as your guide.
Yeah.
Because that helps you set the direction of how you get to your goal, but don't let it deter you from reaching that goal, because unfortunately the journey with photography or anything you do is a lot longer than you anticipate. You always think, I'm going to achieve this by a year's time or 2 years' time or whatever. But there's that many roadblocks that you don't see coming up that will push your timeline back. So it's more important to be consistent and continue to pursue your passion and your goals, but not being fixated on those goals.
Absolutely.
It's just a reference point for you to focus on, really.
You mentioned roadblocks. Have you got any examples you can share with the audience about something you've experienced as a roadblock that stops you, whether minor or major?
Yeah. Lacrosse, okay.
Lots of people.
I could talk to YouTube for that.
Sure.
Like my experience with, we're going to have to get to our wedding friends while we talk.
Follow the wedding friends, yeah.
I guess for me, a big roadblock is time when making YouTube videos. So as you might realize, when you're watching them, it's easy to think, this looks so easy. Like, you don't realize how much of an investment in time it is to actually produce videos. And I'm not complaining when I say that. I'm actually really enjoying the process of making videos. But one of the roadblocks for me was I wanted to have X amount of subscribers or be getting X amount of views and produce X amount of contacts through YouTube.
Right.
And that was something I was very fixated on. And I was missing out on the whole experience of making videos, the filming, being in the moment, creating new ideas, creating scripts, meeting new people. And so I think that was probably the biggest. I know it's not like a technical roadblock, because technical roadblocks aren't really a big problem for me. It's more just the mental roadblocks.
The mental roadblocks, yeah. That's...
And that sort of takes away from producing content, because it would actually reduce my motivation and make me less willing to go out and take photos and film content and meet new people. So that's probably my, I guess, biggest roadblock. And now I'm not so fixated on reaching 1,000 subscribers, for example. I'm more focused on just making the videos that I enjoy. And I'm not focused on building an audience by following trends or doing what the mainstream says. It's making what I think is enjoyable and
something that you love, right?
Yeah, doing what I love, because that means I love doing it.
Can we pick up the conversation around, you just mentioned this, and this is something that I think I share with you as well, personally.
Yeah.
The idea of a mental roadblock. Not technical necessarily, but maybe
technical's easy. You can always find a way to overcome that. There's always someone, there's 2 people getting, geez.
It's the...
It's the mental.
It's the mental piece where, for example, life is stressful, you're busy.
Time.
time is short and you've got these goals and these milestones you've set for yourself.
And you're putting in the work and you don't really feel you're getting the results that you were hoping for,
Right,
right?
and that starts to mentally block you, and I've been there myself.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to, I shouldn't say I'm glad to hear you've experienced it, but...
It's nice seeking comfort in that there's other people going through the same struggle.
Absolutely, it's comfort, it's sharing the same pain points, but learning from each other. Like, that's the whole point of me trying to do this YouTube channel, interviewing other photographers, because I want to hear their stories and I want others to hear their stories and learn from those stories, because I feel like we're so fixated on the icons of the industry and we forget that we have local icons, local legends.
You forget that those icons, no matter if they're local or international, were in the same position that you're in. And you don't realize that, you don't see the time they put in to get to where they are. And I'm sure some of them were lucky, some of them maybe had connections already, but a lot of them, I'm sure, had to put in a lot of work and time and make a lot of sacrifices. Sacrifice is the big thing you don't realize that people make. You only see the successes, the wins. Like that famous, I don't watch sports, FYI, but there's a famous quote from one of the basketball, I think maybe it was Michael Jordan, I don't know, where they're saying, you know, you don't seem to miss any of the shots, something like that. And they're like, well, he said, you don't actually focus on the shots I do miss. I miss 80% of the shots I take.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, yeah.
You know, something along those lines. I'm gonna get butchered for not knowing that one.
I'm sure the people in the comments will correct us.
They'll correct us, and that's fine. But I use that as just reminding myself that people have been in this. That's the big thing for me. I look at something and I see if someone else has do it, then what's stopping me from being able to do that? And you just need to be willing to make those sacrifices to be able to get to where you want, whether that's time, whether that's money.
Have you got an example of a sacrifice you've made recently?
Definitely.
Hopefully not a human sacrifice.
No, I have not sacrificed any lambs or people for the gods.
I don't know if you guys can hear that shudder. I'm sure
beautiful.
You can.
It's so glorious. It's a siren for people to know. I'm taking a photo.
For all the young people out there, that's what a DSLR sounds like.
And back in my... not a lot of people would know what a DSLR... That makes me feel old.
And you're half my age.
Yeah. So a sacrifice I made, I used to work in a full-time job for a while, and obviously I wasn't really happy doing that. And I tried going back into full-time, and so I've always wanted to freelance for the longest time. I wanted to be a professional photographer, but I more recently moved into more video work, which is what I'm focusing on right now. But I always wanted to do it, but what held me back was, there's two things that held me back. So being able to afford certain things or buy certain things or be in a life position that I wanted to, whether that's have a house and all that sort of stuff. I guess that links into the other side, which is still the finance side. So having an X amount of money by this time and having X amount of time dedicated for all these things. So I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity, which I don't have at the moment anymore, but it didn't matter, where I could actually pursue a freelancing career. And what's the sacrifice to that is, again, money and time. So I thought I'd have plenty of time chasing something like this, but now I actually spend more time working than I did prior. But the benefit is, from that sacrifice, I'm actually working, but I'm working on things I'm actually passionate about and I enjoy, whether that's creating content for a client or for myself. I do sacrifice money and I do sacrifice time, but as you look at your watch...
I'm getting a phone call while I'm recording you. Apologies.
You're that popular.
I should have put my phone on Do Not Disturb.
But I think for most people, finances may not be... Well, I think finances is always a problem, but I think people just aren't willing to sacrifice the time or invest their time into making their dreams a reality. And it doesn't matter how unrealistic it is. I feel like you should dedicate a reasonable amount of time to sort of make it happen.
I want to pick that up a little bit more. You want to walk down and go somewhere else?
Let's go somewhere else.
You're not really getting the vibes you're hoping for?
Yeah, there's not enough action, so that's why the afternoon on a sunny day is always better.
Talking about, just picking up this piece from your conversation just now around following your dreams and following your kind of passions. Where do you think that's going to lead you? Like, where do you have? We talked about kind of a end goal. Do you have that in mind now? Is this something that you don't think about at the moment? You're just going, I'm going to go through the motions. I'm going to
Yeah.
learn and grow and.
No, I definitely have a goal. My goal is to, so I believe in the concept of, I don't know if we talked about this last, I think we might have, but the Japanese concept of ikigai.
Oh, yes, yes.
Which is what I use as my framework, what I have used to find out what my purpose in life is. And it may change as time goes on and as I get older. But for now, I feel that my purpose is to create content which has a positive impact on the people who consume it. I believe that a lot of content nowadays is very targeted towards people's behaviors and persuading people to do things that may necessarily not be best for them.
Okay.
So examples like Coca-Cola selling Coke to people, very surface level example, but you get the idea where you're selling a product that has a negative impact on people's health. A lot of YouTubers as well, and I feel like maybe I've fallen into this trap a little bit. Do content on video, do video content surrounding gear that they're telling people they must have, and they're using these clickbaity titles.
Clickbait titles, yep.
And then it's sort of you as the consumer be like, well, you as the consumer are like, yeah, I really need that. And then you buy it, and we've all been there. You buy it, and you're like, well, this actually doesn't work for what I do.
Yeah. You know, I've got a big beef about this.
Yes.
I think we share. This is what I think I admire a lot about you, and I think this is why we've become such close friends, that we have this same philosophy in life, that we are just in the pursuit of happiness. We're in pursuit of finding what is going to make us happy and what's going to add value to other people's lives, as opposed to, and I don't want to judge other people. Like, that's the one thing. I don't know what people are going through. Obviously, if someone's sole income is making YouTube videos, unlike me, I'm lucky to have
it's understood
a job.
why they may need to pursue views.
They play to the algorithm, they play to the game, so to speak, to try to get more clicks on a video and sell a product to get their commission.
Which helps them sustain their lifestyle.
Exactly, I get that.
So they can buy more Ferraris.
And make videos about Ferraris.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, for you and I, again, just bringing it back to our friendship, is around the same common life philosophy that we have when it comes to photography. It's a passion. We love it. We hope to make something out of it professionally, which you do. You've got your freelance work that comes your way, which is great. But also, it's a huge passion of ours, right? You spend time, even if you weren't making money, you'd be on the streets making photos and actually loving it.
Yeah, I'm doing. I don't want to be, no offense, but I don't want to be 40, 50 years old.
Why would I be offended with that? You're looking at me like you said that. No, I'm kidding. Continue. I interrupted you. Continue.
No, you're only like, what
25,
25, 30, you know,
from the
young,
neck down, young.
No, but seriously, I didn't want to pursue, that's why I left my full-time job. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't have a big heart for it. I don't necessarily enjoy working in a corporate environment. I do like working with people from corporate, that's no problem, and that's part of my business, but I didn't like being a part of that as an employee. And I didn't like the fact that I was producing work for someone else and wasn't really as valued. Like, I was putting in more value to them than they were valuing me. And so I didn't want to pursue that sort of career and then end up being 40 or 50 years old, waking up and realizing, well, I've been chasing something that I actually never really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I get that why people do it, because you have to make money, and it's the easy. Well, I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's a very
sustainable and safe way to have a roof over your head, to pay the bills, to, you know, have somewhere to sleep at night. Right?
For sure.
And you're young enough and have enough support to kind of have that flexibility to make that sacrifice, to take that risk, to pursue your passions.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned that to me when we were talking about starting a YouTube channel, and you said that you started it now because you knew in the future, when you were married and have kids, you may have not had the time to kind
Exactly. Or I wouldn't be able to dedicate as much time as I would have liked to in developing it. And YouTube's not, it would be nice to have an income come from YouTube. That's definitely something I won't lie about. But for me, there's a lot of value in the amount of connections and the exposure I'm able to get and the engagement I get. I've always wanted to be a part of or create some sort of community, and I feel like by creating a YouTube channel, we're building that community naturally. We're connecting with people who have similar interests and similar ideas, and I'm definitely doing all this to hopefully have some sort of sustainable lifestyle when I'm older.
When you're my age.
Who knows if it'll work out, but it's good to be arrogant and optimistic like that.
So, we probably haven't made enough photos today. It just hasn't been. Well, I think we made a lot of photos before.
Earlier,
before the filming started.
We might have a potential.
Might have something now. There's my awkward face.
The cringe cam.
The cringe cam. So, I wanted to talk to you about, as an artist, what inspires you? Like, what do you go to when you're kind of feeling down to pick yourself up, or when you feel like you're maybe getting stale with your skills?
Yep. So when you say inspiration, so I had met someone in a conversation that resonated with me was they were pursuing a career to write their own book and memoir or something like that.
Okay.
And they were saying to me that they just need to be in a certain place.
Oh yes, that's right.
Yeah.
In Europe or
somewhere
that's inspiring to them.
Yeah, and my approach is, whilst that's not really realistic, because if you're doing a big piece of work like writing a book, or say if it's photography, you're putting together a series for a book of your own.
Yeah.
So those projects can be done over the span of months to years, and you can't always travel. You can't always spend months to years in certain locations. So a lot of people don't like to spend a lot of time in their own city, their own environments, because it doesn't inspire them.
Yeah.
But I like that. I feel like that's a nice challenge to have and a nice problem to have, because that means that you're able to, I guess, capture and put your perspective on the images you capture that other people who are visiting cities for the first time may not be able to actually do. So when you're a tourist, everything's fresh, new, and you sort of gloss over the little smaller details that make more interesting images and make more interesting content. And you only get that by spending a lot of time in those areas and really understanding how things work, where's the best light, what the best time is, what the best type of people or subjects are. And I think by doing that, you are going to be prone to, you are going to be prone to becoming uninspired and losing motivation. And to that, I would say, well, what I like to do is I like to try and switch things up, whether that's shooting with a new lens or new focal length.
Okay.
I've been getting into old digital cameras recently. I will try and find or research new locations or meet up with new people. And that's the way I sort of get over those uninspiring or unmotivated days where you just don't feel like it's going your way. But also,
that's good advice. I like that.
I would also say real quick that it's important, even when you are feeling uninspired or unmotivated, to still go out. Because you never know what's going to happen. You may end up getting a photo that will re-trigger that motivation too.
Of course.
And it's nice, even if you don't take a photo, it's still a nice day to go out and go for a walk. So it's better than being stuck at home.
No, that's great. That's great advice in general for mental health, for your art, whatever it may be, just to get out of that mindset that you're in, just to get out of the house and just keep practicing the art and hopefully
change something, whether that's your location or what you use.
Absolutely.
Change something, because it makes you think differently.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that. We've talked about this before as well around, and I kind of work and photograph in the same, let's say, 6 or 8 blocks.
Yeah.
And I find it challenging.
Oh yeah.
Because my eyes have seen that
so many
times over the years, over the days, that I need to be able to do something. I've discovered recently that if I this is going to sound hilarious, but if I get off of Wynyard Station as opposed to get off the bus, which drops me off on York Street, Wynyard Station, because it's been just recently remodeled and it's got really nice
So
architecture.
fresh.
Yeah, it's fresh. It makes me feel a bit more inspired to actually get my camera out, as opposed to getting off on York Street from the bus, which I've done so many times over the years, and seeing the same exact spot
Oh yeah.
when I'm out for photos. So yeah, I'm completely on agreement with you on that one. Okay, well, again, thank you
Back
for your
where we
time.
started.
Back where we started.
Perfect circle.
Let's do a wrap up. And we talked about inspiration. We talked about the journey as opposed to the end goal, maybe.
Yeah.
Is there any other piece of advice, or did you want to do a wrap up for us, Dan?
Yeah, so my biggest piece of advice, I know that we're out here doing cameras and coffees, but this is a piece of advice that I feel like a lot of people forget about, and it's all about what you just said, the journey. No matter what you do, if you're trying to pursue something, whether that's creative, career, whatever, just keep consistent, have a goal, but make sure you're consistently working towards that goal, and make sure you define a set amount of time on a regular basis, like weekly, fortnightly, whatever, to dedicate to achieving that goal. I think about Arnie, actually. He's got a very famous video up online where he talks about this, and he just says, you know, if you really want to achieve something, then you're going to put the time in to achieve it. So that's my biggest piece of advice, and that's what I probably would like people to resonate with, whether that's photography or life. Just be consistent. And if you're not sure where to go, reach out to people, because someone else might have something that might help you become unstuck and move on.
The community piece is so important. So if people want to reach out to you, if they want to see your photos, your videos, where can they find you? What's the best place? Besides your phone.
Yeah, call me on this number. No, you can find me on my YouTube channel at Dan the Cameraman, or Instagram at Dan the _cameraman.
I will link all that for you guys in the description, don't worry.
I'd rather people check me out on YouTube, because I feel it's more of a genuine sort of interaction I have, where I can communicate with you through comments and video. But that's probably where you can find me. If you're interested in my work, check me out, and would love to chat to anyone that's interested. And make sure to subscribe to this guy, because this is something that it's been done in New York. It's a new concept, but giving limelight and exposure and having a conversation with people in a genuine format, not just staged and scripted, is something that not many people are doing. So
thanks, Dan. Appreciate you, man. I love meeting new photographers, and my whole goal is just getting people to know you guys. So I appreciate you.